Hey everyone, in today's video we're going to be doing a full review from Kemi, which is the part of the Xerjoff brand, and they actually Kemi isn't really a brand anymore, they've just literally merged it into Xerjoff and it's just called the K line, and they've put it in a Xerjoff bottle with a kind of fancy pattern on it. But Kemi or Xerjoff K line Ether is the one that we're going to be reviewing today, and this one is interesting, and I'm not sure if I like it or not. I'll start off by reading you the official notes for this one. Lemon, orange, bergamot and mandarin, a lot of citrus in the opening, rose and cumin, pine, cypriol, benzoin and sage, lavender, gurjian balsam, oud, sandalwood, musk, vanilla and caramel. So I'm going to spray this on paper today, but I've obviously been wearing it on my skin for the review. Okay, so I don't get a whole lot of citrus. Considering how much citrus is listed, you get a very minimal, slightly fresh opening, but again, it doesn't overwhelm me with citrus considering how many is listed, but you get a little nuance of it, but it's not a huge face of citrus in your face. Considering when you read the notes you would expect a lot of it, you don't get that. I find this really weird to describe because I've never smelled anything like it. It's got almost a watery animalic smell that's kind of pleasant and unpleasant at the same time. It's kind of got this watery, oudy, musky, slightly barnyard, slightly unsettling, like... I struggle to describe it because I just can't quite... This is one you have to experience. It's very strange to me. Like I say, watery, animalic, kind of funky, but not enough to make you kind of disturbed by it. I think what ruins this for me as it starts to dry down on my skin is the cumin. I get a noticeable cumin coming through on my skin. And you don't really smell it on paper though. I don't get cumin when I first spray it on paper. Like I said, I get this watery, animalic, oudy kind of slightly funky smell, but that's actually kind of pleasant at the same time. It's interesting. But on my skin, cumin comes out and it smells a little bit like funky, like sweaty armpit kind of, like day-old curry kind of smell. It's a little bit unpleasant for me. So it has this slightly dirty, spicy kind of aspect to it on the skin in the opening of it. The cypriol note is often used to kind of mimic oud accords because it's kind of this dark kind of woody note. In my notes I write, I got the faintest hint of lavender, slightly fresh, aromatic, but kind of subtle. The main thing that I get in the early part of the fragrance is the cumin kind of vibe with this kind of sweetness. After about an hour, this cumin note, which again, kind of funky and dirty, a little bit sweaty and spicy, but blended with this caramel where it kind of makes it likable a little bit, but still kind of not for me. It simmers down, it becomes, like I say, sweeter, muskier, a sense of like woods behind it. And hard to pick out some of the other notes. For example, pine. I don't think I get pine. Not sure I picked that out at any point in the fragrance. I don't get really rose. For me, I didn't manage to pick a whole lot of that out for myself. Really kind of what I get is this kind of musky, ethereal, watery-like smell with woods, caramel, vanilla. Again, this cumin note is lingering for like the top and mid of the fragrance, and then after an hour or two it starts to fade away. As it starts to dry down, I think you get this combination of wood. I kind of struggle to call it oud. I'm not sure. It's oud-y-ish kind of. Generally this woody kind of accord. I say oudy-ish. I couldn't pinpoint the profile. It's not particularly like many ouds that I've smelled before. If there is a decent concentration of real oud, I've no idea. Or whether it's more kind of an oud accord with just a tiny, teeny bit of real oud. I don't know how generous they are. It's a woody accord that's very smooth. In the opening, again, a little bit funky, but that doesn't mean it's from the oud, it could be from other things. It's very difficult to tell. Sandalwood is also listed as a note, so that could be playing a combination as well in the kind of woody character in the dry down, but this kind of woody, smooth, vanillic, musky, woody, slightly watery kind of characteristic to it, which is a little bit unusual. But actually the dry down is quite pleasant, and I found myself kind of going back and smelling it and quite liking it. The way that the caramel mixes with the woody accord and the musk makes it actually quite enjoyable. And it doesn't really change at that point, it just simmers down and kind of goes along that route until the very far dry down, in which you're left with basically a vanilla caramel musky accord. Again, very pleasant, very likable. In terms of performance for this, around 4 hours it's going to be probably a skin scent. 6 to 7 hours longevity in general, I would cap it at the 7 hour mark. However, you can smell it faintly beyond that, but I would say 7 hours is pretty much, you know, disappearing and fading on your skin at 7 hours. Altogether, it's interesting. I find it interesting on paper. It goes a different direction on skin. On paper, it smells nicer. On my skin, that cumin note is quite strong and a little bit unpleasant and kind of ruins it for me because it overpowers it. It's noticeable in the blend. And like I say, it gives this spicy, kind of dirty, sweaty, kind of funky curry kind of vibe that I'm not keen on. It just overtakes it too much for me. And kind of also makes it kind of dry and a little bit kind of harsh in a way, a little bit unpleasant, but the caramel kind of relieves it just a little bit. Once that cumin goes away, after a few hours, then it becomes very pleasant. Like I said, you get this mix of, generally speaking, oudy, woody, sandalwoody, you know, woody accord basically with musk, caramel, vanilla. Very pleasant, very likable, very nice. Performance is fairly average. The sillage and projection isn't huge. The longevity is kind of standard 7 hours longevity. It's fine. It's totally acceptable, but it's not hugely long lasting in comparison to some from the same brand. I'm not sure when you would wear this, to be honest, in terms of, I just don't know I guess when you're in the mood. I'm trying to think of, like, would it be casual or dressed up, and I really just don't know. Maybe a guy in a leather jacket, kind of casual but smart. I can't imagine it in a suit, to be honest. It would smell weird in a suit. But also it kind of smells weird in a jeans and a t-shirt where it's too casual, like what I'm wearing now. I'm not sure, it kind of doesn't quite fit for me. But it's a cooler weather fragrance. Or saying that, actually, I think you could probably pull it off in the high heat, to be honest. It's not sweet enough to be cloying, and I think the profile that it has is a slightly more Middle Eastern profile. I think people like in, you know, Dubai, for example, the UAE, this kind of scent would be pleasing in that environment. I think, you know, people that live in Dubai would probably happily rock that, and it would probably smell quite good in the heat. But for people that don't live in those kind of climates, in those more desert-like climates, and you live in like England or France or, you know, north parts of America where it's not quite as hot, then you might typically consider it more of a autumn-winter fragrance, I would say. This is one that I quite like some of it, and then I dislike some of it. I don't like the cumin, which takes like an hour and a half, 2 hours of the fragrance time. It kind of puts me off. The dry down I like. I think the dry down is very enjoyable. To let you know, from the website it says last items in stock, so I don't know whether that means once it's out of stock that they'll be discontinuing it. I have no idea, but it says that they're running low on stock, basically. It comes as a 50ml and it's €360. And just to read you a little bit of a blurb of the top line, and from the website it says, in Greek mythology, ether, meaning pure, fresh air, was considered the pure essence breathed by the gods. and so this is meant to be the air breathed in by the gods, I guess. It kind of makes sense with that kind of, like I said, it's got this kind of airy, watery, I don't know, it's got this watery kind of feeling to it, which maybe could be considered airy, I'm not sure. But yeah, just to let you know, I don't know whether that'll be discontinued, but it does say that it's very low in stock on the website, for whatever that is worth. And I will see you soon with another video. If you've tried it, let me know. If you have a favourite from the K line or the Kemi line, let me know as well. I have got a few samples from the Kemi line, which I'll be kind of going over probably when I get back from India in March. I don't know when this video will go out. It might go out while I'm away, it might go out just before, I'm not sure. But I'll be away from November till March, so when I get back I'll kind of review the other ones because I won't have time before I leave. Take care everyone, I'll see you soon, maybe. Bye.
One time he disappeared for 2 or 3 days. When he came back they asked him where he'd been, and he said, oh, just sailing.